My name's Serena Mite and I'm here to introduce the man of the hour, Anthony Jucha. I'll quote him here by saying that Anthony is a man who wears many hats. Now, in some circles, they call this multiple personality disorder. But I think being in Australia, which is a hot country, we know why he wears hats. It's because he needs to cover his head. I know, bald comments are never funny, except on page 10, 78, 86 and 99 of this book, where they are very funny. Anyway, one of these hats he wears is a travelling, World Cup watching, fan-loving blogger turned book publisher, which is why we're all here today to celebrate the launch of 2002 A World Cup Odyssey, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Game. Now, all you movie buffs will be like, hee hee hee, that's funny. But there were a couple of other names that we were kicking around. One was, instead of How to Lose a Guy in 10 days, it was How to Lose Your Mind in 30 days. And instead of The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, actually that one worked, just there was less meat in this book. The pages of this book are a little dirty and a little smelly, but they will make you laugh. If you've never had the pleasure of taking a trip with Anthony, wink wink, this is the next best thing. It's a brilliant read and it's written by a brilliant man. Take it away, Anthony Jucha.
The beginnings of this book were obviously back in 2002, so it's been a long time coming, back in London. I'd been working in London for a year as a lawyer and was offered another very cushy and good contract to stay for another year, but decided to go travelling. And I was in a cafe preparing to go travels, and I saw the World Cup was coming up, and it's not something that was really on my radar otherwise. And I thought, well, that'd be quite cool to go, be in Europe and watch one of the teams. People support their teams, and then it sort of grew from there. I thought, well, actually, why stop at one? Why not do another one and another one? And even when I started doing it, it was a little half-hearted. But by the time I got underway, there was nothing else in the world that mattered. And at the peak, I did 7 countries and 7 matches in 7 days, and I was blogging about it as I was going. And back then in 2002, I didn't call it blogging then because blogging wasn't really a word that was used much, and there was no wireless internet, and so there was a lot of, as the stats say in the book, it was 5 hours in an internet cafe each day, as well as the travelling. And I've always had trouble explaining the concept of what it was. But anyone who understands the World Cup knows that the first 2 weeks you can plan, but then after that, it depends which countries get through. So I would go from country to country watching and supporting with the locals. And in one sense, writing the book was the easy bit, because that took 1 month. Converting the written manuscript to this took about almost 100 months to get to where we are today. And to get to that stage, so that final leg of the journey really probably began in May 2008, where my friend Christine Welsh here said that she's now a coach, a sort of business coach sort of thing. And I was like, I need some coaching, why not? For me, one of the things that was bothering me was having all these unfinished creative projects hanging over my head, and it was becoming an albatross, and I couldn't do anything until I got them going. And one thing Christine taught me was getting help from other people, I suppose, getting help. It was pointed out to me that there are plenty of books that have been published before without my involvement, and none at all that have been published with my involvement. So bringing in some other people to help could be a positive thing. And even Christine helped to. Even just as little as 2 weeks ago, I was saying, well, I really should get perhaps some professional copywriters or proofreaders and editors to come and help, and Christine's just get it out, just finish it. And also suggested having this launch party too, so I appreciate that, so thank you, Christine, for that. The next person out of the blocks because of that was Jeremy Hogg, who has a design, a sort of service design business called Black 2 Sugars, and Jeremy's responsible for designing the cover. And when he presented the initial proofs to me, and we had a meeting to discuss not just this, but the general look and feel for all these other unfinished projects too, I was like, well, that's it. I mean, what am I paying for here? This this is just a big picture of me and my name, my name in big print. And Jeremy said, I thought it was supposed to be all about you. Isn't that what it's about? And I was, well, actually, yeah, I see where you're going with this. I like it. This is good. Simple but effective. So by pandering to the ego, he had a happy client. The next person in the line was Aaron Elsley, who can't be here today. He's a copywriter, because I always, even just now when I'm babbling, I've had great difficulty explaining what this book is about. I can never do a title, never do a blurb. So Aaron's written those for me, and he's copywriting in Ballarat, and will no doubt work his way up from Ballarat and become very professional. And I won't read you the blurb, because you can all read that after you've bought a copy. But he's done the About Me on my website as well, and he's written, and I've put up there, hello, my name is Anthony Jucha, and I wear many hats, including, but not limited to, lawyer, writer, speaker, and stand-up comedian. Perhaps you found this site Googling whore. Being a lawyer, I understand the confusion. I mean, I laughed out loud when I read it, and I've put it up there, but it's...
Does that mean now that whore is on your website, that when somebody Googles whore, it will come up?
Well, the real problem for me is when someone...
400 hits a day.
Yeah, when someone Googles Jucha lawyers or Jucha legal, that's what they see. I've got a...
Specialised representing whores.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure, but it's so funny. I just think it's good. So Aaron came up with the title and so forth. Next out of the ranks was Serene Johnson, who has been a great support for Jucha Legal, doing lots of proofreading and helping with the legal practice, and has now helped with this book. And she wrote back to me after her first read. She's like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Are you sure you want to give it to your clients? You talk about your willy a lot. I talk about your willy a lot. So I sent her off to read it again. It's like, well, come on. And she read it again, and she said, no, the writing is good. She said, it reminds me of The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole. Age 13 3/4. And so I've done some wordles here which show that the words willy or penis hardly even come up at all. But bald, yeah, it probably does a bit. Carl Freer also helped with proofreading. He's someone who's also helped with Jucha Legal. I had my friend Michael Appleby spotting for young talented lawyers who could help in my practice, and that's how I came to Carl. And I still have trouble with this word because it's a new word for me. But he wrote back to me, there's a surfeit. There is a surfeit of exclamation marks. Is that how it said? Surfeit? Yeah? Surfeit? Surfeit of exclamation marks. Strong on alliteration, possibly too much. He said, and after I looked up surfeit, in the dictionary it says excess, an excessive amount, a surfeit of speech making. Well, excess or overindulgence in eating or drinking. And 3, an uncomfortably full or crapulous feeling due to excessive eating or drinking. And I wrote back and said, well, thank you, now I've looked up surfeit and I understand what it is, but thank you for your help. And he wrote back and said, I'm happy to supply surfeit syntactical assistance. You'll note I've taken a leaf out of your book in the last sentence. So now I had all these elements. I had the manuscript and a cover, a motivation, and I knew I could self-publish online. You could do this, and with the World Cup bearing down on me, I just didn't know how to pull it all together. And I was surfing online, and I found Belinda D'Alessandro of BDA Books over here, who, as it turns out, lives 2 streets over in Glebe, and was able to do the typesetting and get me ISBNs and navigate all those things that you need to do to convert the elements into a book, which you know, you can send your money off to California, but to have someone you can meet at the cafe 2 streets over is fantastic. And I met Belinda for a coffee, and she's like, 2002, you've had this hanging over your head for a long time, it's worse than I thought. She's like, right, when does the World Cup start? I said the first match was 2 days ago. And she said, well, when's the final? I said, just under 4 weeks. And she said, well, you can start telling your friends that the book will be available in the World Cup final. So here it is, she pulled it off. I mean,